So when it comes to health and aging well, diet really is at the core of that. We do know that we are what we eat. We've all heard that. And it really is true. Your body actually regenerates over time. And if you're giving it the good ingredients to build new healthy cells, you can rebuild a whole new you in a matter of a few months. So I thought I'd just chat roughly around some diet thoughts. I know that there are all sorts of extremes, from extreme raw vegan all the way through to carnivore, and all sorts of things that sit in between. And I think the general consensus is that we probably need to meet somewhere in the middle as our general way of being, more a Mediterranean kind of diet. If you have certain health issues that you're wanting to address, you may for a period of time go to either end to address those. But at the end of the day, we need nutrients and minerals from a wide variety of foods, largely from vegetables, in order to really thrive. And then we need a bit of protein, we need some good quality fats, we need to be hydrating well. And so that is always what I would recommend as a diet and a way of being. So examples then of that would be lots of fresh fruit and veg. In terms of the fruits, I like to focus on things that are lower GI, so things like berries, lemons and oranges. So I use berries as a staple. So in terms of vegetables, lots of cruciferous vegetables are always going to be a good place to start. So broccoli and cauliflower, things like that, Brussels sprouts, lots of greens, so spinaches and kales and all those kinds of leaves. You want to be focusing on green and fresh and cruciferous. If you are going to cook them, you want to lightly steam them if possible, as opposed to overcooking. You want to try and keep those nutrients. And if your digestive system really is taking strain, and you'll know if you feel like you're just not digesting properly, sometimes something cooked can be easier to digest than something raw. And so you might want to focus more on cooked vegetables for a season instead of salads. Although I love salads as well, but I also like to steam my vegetables. So that's really going to give you your foundation. Your vegetables are the core of what you're going to eat. And then to that, you're going to add in your healthy fats. So I want some coconut oil, avocado, olive oil, of good quality olive oil that's cold pressed, that you're buying from a store where there's a high turnover of product, so you know that it's fresh. You want to smell that olive oil, make sure that the oils don't smell rancid and that they are pure, that they come from a reputable source. So really important when it comes to your oils. Unfortunately, it's not going to be about the lower the price, the better. It's going to be you're looking for the quality, because you don't want to put a bad quality oil into your body. Your body is going to use those fats to drive your energy. It's going to use those for neural health. And so you really want to make sure that you're getting good quality fats. I like to use flax oil, so it's a good omega-3 oil from a cold pressed source. I like to put that in my shake every day. And then taking a good supplement as well from a fish oil source is always recommended. In terms of eggs, eggs can contain a good quality oil if they come from free roaming chickens. So remember, free roaming is not the same as free range. Free range chickens are still caged. Free roaming chickens that are eating naturally are going to give you the right fats in the eggs. If they are caged and they are fed grains, then you're not going to have the right omega balance, and they're going to be very inflammatory. So eggs are going to be good if you can get them from the right source. So you've got your vegetables as the core, you've got some berries are really going to be game changing. We're adding in our good quality fats. We may have some eggs if they come from a good source. And then your meats, you would want to get free range cattle, you want to get chickens that are free roaming. These aren't always easy things to find. You have to look for local farmers, but it is worth it to find the right source. And if you are eating seafood, you want that to be free range from the ocean, not farmed. Farmed fish are given all sorts of stuff to eat that you don't want to be consuming. And remember, whatever the animal was given to eat basically is going into your body. So if that animal was given hormones and antibiotics, it's coming straight into your system. And so it really is important, if you're going to eat animal products, to make sure that they are clean. In terms of dairy, I like a little bit of butter, or you could use ghee, and you want to make sure it's from grass-fed cattle, preferably from A2 cows, which are less allergenic. Again, you're going to have to go and search for some of these things. If you want to eat yogurts or kefir yogurt, which is a different kind of fermentation, which is going to be really great for your gut, But you want to make sure that you are getting that from raw dairy, if possible, and from a good source. So it is worthwhile going and looking for some of these things. And while we're talking about fermented things, fermented foods like sauerkrauts, an amazing addition to the diet that is really going to help build up your microbiome. Not everyone can cope with that. If you have a sensitive gut, it may be something that you can only add in later. But if you have a good, strong gut, you want to add in your fermented foods. And then I like to use things like bone broth or collagen really to keep my gut healthy and well, and as a good quality source of protein. I don't eat a lot of meat, but I use like an organic bone broth and collagen to make sure I'm getting those amino acids into my body, and that my body is getting all of the amino acids that it needs to function. Remember that we have essential amino acids that we need. They're essential for a reason. We need them every day. And so it's good to make sure that you are getting the right sources of those amino acids. When it comes to amino acids, there are also vegetarian options. So you could look at lentils, chickpeas, beans are great options as well, but they can be inflammatory on the gut. So you want to make sure that if they're upsetting your gut, you're rather cutting those out for a period of time while you build up a strong gut. So when it comes to eating, we really are focused on that Mediterranean style diet. We're eating olives and avos and salads and vegetables. We're eating a small amount of good quality meats. We are lavishing our foods with good quality oils. Even if you want to lose weight, it is not the fats that are making you fat. It is the refined carbohydrates and the sugars, which we are not going to be eating in this diet. And then we are having a sprinkling of some healthy fruits like berries. I also like to have a few dates every day. So I have around 3 or 4 dates a day. Not too many that it would spike blood sugar, but there are also amazing benefits to having things like dates in your diet. We are focusing on things as God created them to be. They are not ultra processed. And I can assure you, if you return to that way of eating, you will see some of the conditions that you may be struggling with disappearing. You will see the weight coming off. You will feel clearer, sharper in your mind, and you will be able to live a long and healthy and happy life the way that God intended. So in terms of the amount that we eat, I also feel like in this day and age, we really eat at any sign of a hunger pang. And something that we should really think about as we age, if we want to age well, is that sometimes it's in times of drought or crisis that makes our body stronger. So what would that be? That would be things like fasting. If your body doesn't always have access to food, when you fast for a period of time, and when I say fasting, it could be intermittent fasting, which means that I push out my meals in the day, or I have a day a week where I don't fast, or sometimes I do a 3-day fast, for example. If we are not giving our body the fuels that it needs, it goes internally and it cleans up to get everything that it needs. Your body will make the glucose that it needs, or it's stored in the liver. If it needs protein, it will go and break down broken cells in order to get the protein that it needs. And that clean out is one of the best things that we can do for long-term health and wellness. We're in the long game here. We're not in the short game. So this is about feeling well into our later years. So if you follow someone called Gary Brecker, who I've mentioned before, he's a biohacker based in America. And he has a saying that aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort. So the more we pursue comfort, the more we're going to age. And as we get older, we like to be comfortable and we like to never be hungry and have everything that we need. And actually, that is not helping our aging process. Sometimes you need to stretch yourself with no food. Sometimes you can stretch yourself with no water. Maybe look into dry fasting. Something that I've just started trying actually has phenomenal benefits because your body actually makes a certain percentage of its water itself. And because we are constantly hydrating, we are not allowing our body to do some of the things that it should do naturally. We are not meant to have access to water 24/7 and access to food 24/7. It's just not the way we were created. So I want to encourage you, if you are really looking at taking your health to the next level, why don't you look at adding in a fasting period into your day or into your week? So what I like to do is I like to push out my morning shake a bit later in the day. So I'm not doing that first thing in the morning. I'm doing my lemon water and then I'm having my shake a bit later, maybe around 10, 11 o'clock. And then I'm only eating later in the day at say 2 and 6. Then another thing I like to do is I like to do a weekly fast. So I fast on a Monday, so you eat your evening meal on a Sunday, and then you can eat an evening meal again on a Monday. It's actually very doable, and then you can either drink water during the day, or you can dry fast and actually try from the time you wake up. I have some water in the morning, and then I dry fast until the evening. That could potentially have the benefits of a much longer water fast. I've heard it said that it could equate to a 3-day water fast to do 1 day of dry fasting, because your body does so much internal repair. So that's another option. And then once a month, why don't you try a 3-day fast? So you would eat on a Sunday evening early, and then you eat again on a Wednesday evening with a very light meal like a vegetable soup or a bone broth, or some fruit. So in terms of what I would then recommend is kind of how I would structure a day if I'm not fasting. I do liquids during the morning, so I would do my shake, say 10, 11 o'clock. And then I sometimes drink vegetable juices during the day. I might do carrot or celery juice, or I do salted water throughout the day. Herbal tea is also a really great option. And then I do a lunch probably at around 2 o'clock. Something that I really enjoy for lunch is also something very easy to digest. So coconut yogurt with some blueberries, organic if possible, because blueberries are one of the products that can be sprayed quite badly with pesticides. And then I like to add some ground flaxseed in there that I actually soak for a little bit before in some water to really activate it and make sure that that's easier to digest. So I like to do something like that mid-afternoon. And then I might do another shake a bit later in the day if I've gone to gym and done some training. And then I try and do dinner quite early. So dinner before 6 o'clock, is ideal if you can do that. And then I like to do very vegetable based. So lots of steamed vegetables, a small amount of protein, and some good quality fats. And that's how I end my day. So if you are really looking at how you could structure a day, if you are not feeling your best, if you want to shed some weight, if you want a clearer mind, if you want to improve your gut health, that could be a really nice kind of starting point for you. And then you've got to see what works for you. It's different for every person. So play around with different options and come up with what works best for you. And then just in terms of some digestion hacks, there are some things that I think are very important that you can add into your day that can really up your digestion. So first thing is, I don't drink when I eat. Your body needs to be focused on digesting then, and you want your digestive enzymes and your stomach acid to be concentrated. And so you don't want to drink at the same time. And then because I know that I suffer from low stomach acid, because I can get acid reflux, which, believe it or not, is actually a sign of low stomach acid, I like to add some apple cider vinegar to water just before I have my main meal of the day, and that helps a lot with digestion. So this is something that I would really recommend that you add into your day, as well as adding digestive enzymes. You can buy digestive enzymes, you take them when you eat that big meal, and that is really going to help you digest that main meal and make it much easier for your system. So those are just some hacks that I think you could add in if you want to improve your digestion. But if you are going back to nature in terms of what you're eating, you really are going to be a long way there towards improving your digestion and feeling great.